hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. My beautiful divine family, tribe, peeps. Gosh, I am so happy to be here. It is a beautiful, glorious morning here in India. As you can see behind me, the rain falling. I'll actually give you a little bit of a little scan and a little bit of a view here. This is the beautiful retreat center that I have just been blessed to come to for some integration time before I go to, you can see the pool back there as well, this gorgeous pool and all these ponds with these rocks, and that I get to be at before I go to Navaratri. And thank you, Swami. Could you actually bring it right over here? That way I'll be able to grab it. You're the best. And I have someone to introduce you to. Come here, Ashok. These are the peeps that are my divine family taking care of me. Can you come back over here? This is Swami.
Hello, I'm Swami.
Swami is such a beautiful divine being that has become such a special friend to me here. Ashok, come here. Ashok is from Nepal.
Hi,
say hello. And what are you wearing? Guys, show your bracelets. Your bracelets.
Yeah.
Bracelet. Choose your best life. So they're so on track with choosing their best life already. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ashok. I have been so treated like pure royalty, and obviously the divine royalty that we are, a whole nother level for me of always catching where I get to just accept and receive this. So they've been treating me like absolute queen and goddess in this beautiful grounds, and there's a couple other beautiful ladies here that help take care of the grounds that are so sweet. And thank you guys are the best. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, love. Yeah, like as everybody's joining on, as we're kind of giving time for peeps to join on, to jump on live, what I'm talking about, I'm gonna move this just because I want you to be able to see the gorgeous, beautiful pond space behind me, and then I have a water. They brought me a water. Oh my gosh, what we're talking about is so special. And I really just was tuning in, and there's so many messages, so many beautiful divine blessings and gifts of messages that I was able to receive from being with an enlightened master in the Himalayas for 10 days. And my whole intention is to share as much as possible, and it's really to give context. I really love having context of something that can be so out there. When we bring it context and we bring in understanding, we bring formless into form, that our human minds are striving to find an internal representation or a context or a construct for it to go, oh, I can receive that now, and I can now see how I can integrate that into my life. It opens up the remembrance. So when I talk about codes, it's really like, you getting a piece of information that all of a sudden clicks for you, that you're like, I get it. And it's like you're activating, there's all this DNA within you that is just getting awakened and remembering the divinity that you are. So really what I want to talk about is aligning to the divinity codes that is your God consciousness. And as spiritual, as woo-woo, as mystical, as any of that might sound, bring it into context for you on your everyday human experiences. What that means is so that you can reveal what's hidden in front of you, what you might not be able to see right now, that's literally right in front of you. It be revealed for you, that you now can receive it, that you now can create and experience the most amazing, phenomenal, epic life that you desire. And if we all were walking around in the God consciousness that we knew that we were, then literally it'd just be the light of God. Like, you would only see the light in everything, the love in everything, the divinity in everything, which is what we're really all striving to. Although it might, in some form, or maybe in whatever experience you're in right now, it might be like, man, when I just finally get to that place where money's effortless, then I can be in peace and flow. And when I get to that place where relationships are a joy and a pleasure and bliss and ease and grace, and they only magnify my life versus being a struggle or hard, or when I can just get when I can get this. And that is because our human mind wants to try to create a judgment or a story about something. And the truth is, everything that is happening is all perfectly divine timing constructed by you. And that's probably the first thing that I want to lean into. But before I do that, as I continue to want to let people join and just say hello, please say hello. Please tell me where you're at. I mean, I've had a magical morning. I'm actually close to Oroville. I'll share a little bit as people are joining on. I'm close to Oroville right now, which Oroville is one of the, I think there's a few of them being built around the world, but it is the first and the one that is, it's a worldwide community. And they literally have built, since in the 1960s is when they started, this massive gold dome, this crazy dope frequency, and is such sacred land. And so I'm just a few minutes, like 10 minutes out of Oroville. My assistant knows how I roll. She got me this gorgeous, beautiful retreat space. So I'm kind of off grid from the city a bit, and just beautiful nature and land, totally taken care of. And yet I've gotten to go to Oroville every day to go meditate in these rooms with specific codes. And so I mean, I'm just divinely held in this beautiful space. And so there's integration, and I've noticed a little bit of like my body still activating as I'm getting that blessing as well. Before the plan is in a couple days, I actually head to Navaratri, which is a 9-day deep spiritual process that I'll be diving deep again. It's just, guys, it's like I go where I feel called. So that in mind, for those of you who might be new to me or not really know the journey that I'm on, I'm Sundari, which is new for a lot of you. It's my soul remembrance name, the recognition of my soul remembrance, and I'll kind of share that as one of the stories and the experiences that I've had here as I was going through the Himalayas, being given my spiritual name or my remembrance name, and otherwise known as Marci Mentor. And for those of you that might not know why I'm in India or what I'm really up to, or might be new, and I'll just kind of recap in that I was really called to shed everything and go on a journey with myself and become, it's like, I call it the global citizen journey. It's like literally, if I'm a leader that's here, I'm called to share, I'm called to stand in these codes of liberation and absolute freedom and divine remembrance of who we truly are in our divinity. And that means in that divinity, in God consciousness, you don't see God consciousness struggling in poverty or sacrificing. God consciousness walks around and literally is blissed and blessed in magic and miracles. Everything is ease and flow and grace, operating the full embodiment of the divine feminine. So I really got called to literally live moment by moment in the divine feminine. No attachments, no expectations, like literally letting go, being in neutrality and peace with all things. So what I've been saying for a while as part of my spiritual practices is that I am in harmony and peace with all things, all experiences, all beings, all things. And the universe has continued to show up and show me where I'm not in harmony with something. In this experience, if this shows up, if I'm not in peace and harmony, how do I get to align to that? So this journey was, I was called to literally give myself permission to a whole nother level of absolute freedom, absolute liberation. And I can't teach it. I can't lead others or be the example of it if I have not done it myself and if I'm not choosing it myself. So it was like I was asked to literally strip away every single thing that had to do with any type of my identity, every single thing that would have ever given me validation from outside myself, the identity of who I am, who's Marci Mentor, and all the things that I've been, the Fuck Yes Life Mentor, the Body Mind Mentor, all the success I've created, the programs I have, all the companies, all of those things, literally let it go. And literally it was just handing everything off to my team and saying I no longer feel the call for me to lead retreats or run masterminds or even have personal clients. I got asked to just stop doing everything and be in a place of pure surrender to be fully with myself. And that means the only thing that I do is something that's coming through my essence. This is something that it's like when it comes through, it's like this is what I get called to share. This is what comes through from my essence. So there's no plan. There's nothing on my schedule. It's just I am in full permission to allow myself to go wherever in the world I feel called to go, to do whatever I feel called to do, to be and serve in whatever way shows up for me to be and serve, and to receive the greatest growth and expansion and remembrance and understanding, awakening even more codes within myself to receive even more love and liberation, etc. And so, going from having like $1 million clients and all the masterminds and retreats to just be like, okay, this is what feels called next. we go through this destroy to create cycle, but it really, for me, has been, I mean, there's been so many gifts and learnings in this for sure, and the divine experiences that have showed up. But it's really, as I feel like the world is ready, and we're seeking the leaders and the people who fully stand in the embodiment of teaching that there is no struggle or sacrifice or striving or trying. We're so ingrained in the old model, and this is the model that we get to make obsolete and create a new model of us being able to live in bliss and flow and peace and love and divine harmony and ease and grace. And it's just like so if I knew that if I was aligning to peace, then everything else shows up. If I'm just here to serve, I'm always going to be taken care of. So literally, like, one of the statements that came through for me that I'm aligning my life to every moment is a choice, is that I am here to just serve the divine joyfully. And that includes all of humanity. Serving the divine, serving you. You are the divine. You are my beloved. Everyone is my beloved. Everyone is God consciousness. I am the divine. So I'm here to just serve the divine and the whole of humanity joyfully, floating in a constant state of bliss. And from that bliss, I receive all that I require. And it is like, I could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours and give you examples of moment by moment of my life, how I am so divinely supported. Things effortlessly show up. It's become such a fun, divine game. And guys, I didn't used to be that way. It was literally like aligning myself from seeing the weeds and life being hard and struggle and sacrifice to now literally like, and I won't say nothing triggers me. I mean, because this is part of what I want to talk about, is all of it. Okay, so my name, even Sundari, means divine beauty. That was quite the thing for me to accept, and reveals perfectly my journey, which I'll share a little bit more about, because there's so many things that I want to share with you guys. It's really going to be what we create the time for today, and my intention is I want to share all of these truths, all these beautiful messages. This is like sitting with Jesus. I'm not referring to myself. I'm referring to, like, I was sitting with Jesus in a way. I was sitting with an enlightened master for 10 days. And then now when I get to go to Navaratri, I get to go be with another reincarnated avatar, which most people never even in their lifetime have the opportunity of even seeing one. And so to put a framework around it, and why I want to share all these truths with you, is because it's like, if we thought about, you know, the time of Jesus, it would have been like getting to sit with Jesus at that time. And so I want to share all the beautiful blessings and gifts that I received. And so whatever I don't get to today, I have literally a notebook of just literally the exact words and phrases and stories and teachings from being with Swamiji, who is the incarnation of Mahavatar Babaji. And I will be doing some more videos before I go to Navaratri and posting those in Best Life Tribe, so I can have even more time and space to go even deeper, depending on what we get to today. So if you guys are not in the Best Life Tribe community, I'm sure my team will be able to post a link of how you can be able to get into the community. And that's just a place where everyone's choosing their best life, and we're literally like learning the tools of remembrance, learning the behaviors that get to match that alignment and that frequency. Because the thing is, even if I sat here and told you you're God consciousness, yes you are, you're God consciousness, it doesn't matter how much I tell you that. In fact, actually you only believe 80% of what you believe 20% of what you hear from other people, 80% of what you tell yourself. So if inside you are unwilling to receive that, to even wrap your mind or your feeling center or anything around this idea that you actually are God consciousness, that you are a divine light being, that it literally could have whatever you want. If you fully knew that you were worthy and you're capable, you would right now be experiencing the reflection of what you want. What you're experiencing right now is actually what you want, because that's actually what you're creating and what you ask for and you're attracting, and your projection and all of it is divine. And so aligning that, allowing yourself to see the things that you created for yourself, to reveal those new codes and accept it, how easy or hard, how you learn, whether it be through struggle or through joy, is all a choice, and it's up to you. And so I want to share as much as I can today, and we'll see what comes through and how that looks, and then I'll be sharing more there. So make sure you tune in to the Best Life Tribe if you want to be able to receive every time I just pop in, and I want to share so many truths. That's where I do it. is share a lot of extra trainings and support for my peeps in there that are really on the journey, because I know they're invested in their time, effort, energy, and I'm invested in being in that journey too. So, I'm gonna breathe for a second. I feel so. I also got to talk to my babes this morning. I was about to jump on, and my Gavin the Great called me, and he just turned 12, and it's, again, it's such a beautiful thing to have worked through all this stuff going on my journey where I was like, oh, my babes, I'm missing them, and all those stories, and now just to be in such like divine bliss with them and to connect with them. So I literally have been so supported and just being so filled with joy and bliss that hopefully even just this frequency, I choose to be the frequency of divine unconditional love. Divine unconditional love, because if I was to say I am love, a lot of times we have our associations to what love is that has been our human experience, and that's not a divine clear frequency. So for a long time, as I've done integration and activation and even ceremony on myself and doing things to really align to that, it's always been like I am the frequency of divine. I'm the divine code of unconditional love. So my intention is to share that with you, that hopefully you feel that amount of love. You feel how special you are. You feel the divinity that you are, that you're here in this moment for a reason. You're here receiving this message for a reason. And, whatever resonates for you, please take what resonates and question all things. I'm definitely not here as your teacher or guru, or I'm here learning for myself, and I'm on the pathway for my own evolution, because the more I evolve to my own God consciousness, the more my frequency rises, and then that's what I'm giving to the world, and can hold that field that when we all rise together in that frequency, what we do is we experience only more health and prosperity and bliss and joy and flow and ease, because we become the highly evolved beings that we already are, that we're remembering, that would never separate from something else or project or judge onto something else. And so what's coming through right now is just to share with you that that's what judgment is. Judgment is just not being peace with an experience. And so the first thing that I really feel called to share, maybe I'll share some stories of my experience that held such powerful truths for me. And I'll also depending on time, I'll see how much I can share of just actual reading from what Swamiji told me. And just to give you a little bit about an avatar or an enlightened master, it's like I was raised in a very strict, hardcore religious environment that only believed in Jesus and God and the Holy Ghost. And so it was like, this is the one being that's perfect on the planet to teach us how to be, kind of a thing. And even as I chatted with my mom the other day, and I was trying to explain to her what I was up to, and I put it in framework for her, that it's like, we only thought there was Jesus, but there's actually many of these beings that reincarnate into a physical form, a human form, or incarnate in a certain way, holding the energy or this God, goddess, deity to be in this being, to be this frequency of light for us, that we can actually have, again, an internal representation. We can see it and we can feel the essence of it. So much of the time, guys, it's like just being in the space of something, you receive the essence of it, you receive the code of it. There's so many times I've been when I was with my personal clients all over the world doing like my deep dive ascension adventures and these experiences where they were just like, just being around you was what affected me the most. Like, there's a code that's transferred. If I'm living in bliss and flow and ease and grace and all that I do, and you see how I respond with the world, and it's like water, I move around things and it's all flow and it's all effortless, and you're around that, you get a sense of, I see now, I feel now how to do that. So in this reference, it would be like an enlightened master or these avatars come to not only be this intense frequency for us, and it's like they choose to ascend back and assist the planet in continuing to evolve. So there are several. Yeah, again, most people never even in their lifetime have an experience with one. And I was actually blessed to now be around two. When I came to India before, and actually the India trip that we have in my Ascension Adventures program is to take people to be with this avatar, and this is where I'm going back soon for Navaratri. And this enlightened master is actually the incarnation of Mahavatar Babaji. And I'll probably share more in the tribe, more of the back end and the stories to this, so that today I can deliver more of the truths. But what was interesting is I had started studying a couple months ago. For a while now, I've been seeking to learn and have more of my teachers be the unseen teachers, the ascended masters. So, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Yogananda, Mahavatar Babaji, Kuan Yin, Isis, Green Tara. I've been choosing to almost like connect with one and get really way more connected with one. Like Archangel Michael, he's my dude. Gavin the Great, my babes. I learned that in teenager, well, he's not a teenager yet, but cool language is, I realized one day, this is just side note, I would always say, oh, babes, you're so cute, you're so amazing, and he was like, ah, mom, he's like, I could just feel his energy shift, and I was like, is there something about me saying that you're cute that you don't like? Is that what comes up for you? And he was like, I don't like cute. He's like, I said, well, how would I express to you that you're just amazing and that I'm honoring you, I'm giving you love? And he said, you say, Gav's my dude. So I talked to Gavin today. I'm like, like his face is so cute. I'm like, babes, I'm like, oh, you're so my dude, you my dude. So Archangel Michael, he's my dude in the ascended realm. So it's like calling on all these energies that we have available and all the support that we have available that most of the time we're walking around not utilizing. And so I started Mahavatar Babaji was one that I started to connect with and want to understand and learn from a couple months ago. And this is why you hear this old statement when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So the thing that I really want to talk to you guys about is just divine timing. And give you some context around timing. So what's interesting is I had started studying Mahavatar Babaji, and then the only thing I knew, I felt called to come back to India for Navaratri. Well, of course, how the universe just brings me my moment by moment, it brings me the grandest, greatest adventure. It is my lover. Start saying, thank you, universe. I know you're my lover. You literally just want to love on me. You just want to give me like the greatest experience possible, and the most love and joy and etc. And it's bringing you everything that you gets to be revealed for you, and what else you get to heal and love, so that you can receive even more love and joy. And so the universe drops in my space, and someone invites me to get to go with a very special group of people through like a pilgrimage in the Himalayas with an enlightened master. And I mean, like, extremely rare opportunity and experience. And I'm like, yeah, sounds dope. Thank you, of course. So this all lined up perfectly just a couple weeks before my experience I was coming to in India, and I'm like, cool, I'll go do that. I'll have some amazing, beautiful integration time, and then I'll go deep into Navaratri. And I am living in such a place of trust and surrender. My girl Katarina and I always say that our diet is surrender sandwiches. So I'm just like, cool, that's where I felt called, that's what showed up. Yes, got a total yes for that. My whole body is a yes, that feels good. And so my assistant sets that up, and I show up to meet the group of people, and I'm very, 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 very picky about my energy. About, obviously, my space always gets to be the most divine energy. The people that come into my space have the most divine energy, because my energy is what creates everything. And so I'm aligned to a place in my level of worth that I ask for what I want, and we create the support around me for what I want. And believe me, that also means I get to create peace in what shows up as well. And so there's a little bit more to that. Yet I had no idea that what I actually called in and what showed up for me, again, student is ready, teacher appears, was I get there and get to be with these people, and we start off, we travel several hours into the Himalayas, into an ashram. And what I was saying about my energy is that, of course, if I'm going to drop into a space with a group of people that I have no idea who they are, it had to be a very high frequency vibe of people. And of course, these people were all like had been on a spiritual path, on a path of awakening and enlightenment and ascension for years. In fact, they all had spiritual remembrance names. I was the only one that was like, they're all these divine names, and I'm the only one that's like, I'm Marci. So this group was a very divine high frequency group that was led by a spiritual guru and kind of led a worldwide mission of people, and this was a small group that was invited to go. And so I find out we get to the ashram, and I find out from walking again, I attracted one of his main devotees, and she gives me the story and understanding of Swamiji, they call him Swamiji, is Mahavatar Babaji. And it was just like, what? Oh, of course, right? I'm so blessed. Of course I get an actual informed physical experience of the formless, and I get to experience exactly what I've been calling in to understand even more. So the thing that I want to share is that what if you knew that every single thing that you experience is actually perfectly planned by you? Like everything was divine timing. I'm talking every inch, every millisecond, everything was already planned as absolute divine timing. Just sit with that for a second. Take it in. I'm serious. Like, think about if there was no question that what was in front of you was right, and it was exactly what you yourself chose and planned, and God, you could say God, you could say higher source, self, your oversoul, with your guides, with your angels, that literally all of you together planned every single millisecond of this lifetime experience. Just take that in for a second. That's good. Think about that. How much less chaos would you be experiencing? How much more ease and flow and joy would you be experiencing if you no longer questioned the thing that's in front of you? And you've probably heard me talk about and say many times how we go searching outside of ourselves, for striving outside of ourselves to try to grow, when actually everything in front of you is your perfect growth process. Everything that's in your experience. You actually don't ever need to leave your house. If you literally, I could go off on another tangent that yes, there's a lot more growth and learning when you interact with humans versus maybe if you're just sitting and meditating in a room. That's also a path and a journey of enlightenment. And what I mean is that everything within you will come up in everything externally. It's right in front of you, because this inside you is what's right outside of you. And so if you knew that this was all perfectly divinely planned, moment by moment, how much less would you be dropping the fight and the resistance to it, and allow the openness to receive it, to then reveal what's there for you to heal and move through and accept. And guys, this took me a lot of years to really get this. And so I want to give you an example. I want to share a story with you, one of the stories from Himalaya of my experience of how this really landed or showed up for me in such a more divine way, and also some ways of being, and so that we stop creating the suffering and we can be with what's here. See, it's our human thoughts, and I don't even like to say that really anymore, because our humanness is amazing. Our humanness is so holy and sacred. We chose this. If we realized we literally were begging. We were begging. You're like, oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited, because we know that this is the greatest experience that could ever be provided. So having all of our emotions and all of our experiences, which is something I want to share a little bit about, that is our humanness. That is, so it's like, when I say human thought or human story, what I mean is because of our construct of consciousness, maybe from the level of understanding we have as we came in this human form, and we forgot the remembrance or the divinity of who we are, that then we have, I might refer to them as human thoughts, because they come from a place of less understanding, but really truly our humanness is one of the greatest beautiful things that we have. So I want to share a story with you. There was so we got blessed the very first day. We pack up our bags. We're supposed to pack up to be gone for a couple days, and we actually were like, maybe we'll be camping, maybe we won't. It was all such divine surrender, flow. We don't know what's going to show up. And we get into a vehicle and we go 8+ hours in bumpy mountain, windy roads, which I'll share some truths I got from that in maybe in another time. And we arrive up at this place, and this place is way, 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 way up in the mountains. And what I'm realizing too is there's so much initiation in the journey to receive such divine blessings. It's like, who's willing to actually receive what's there, and how do we block it? And so we go way up into the mountains, the Himalayas, like I think it was like 8 to 10,000, whatever that's called, high. And there's this place up there, and I'm happy to share the name of it, but I'm not even going to try to pronounce it now. But there's this place up there that actually goes into this little dip of a valley, and it is some sacred, intense energy up there. There's rishis that still live there, which are thousands of years old, and that are taking care of this temple. And there's this lake with an island that literally moves. And there's pictures of it from above where in different places, so it moves and they don't know how it moves. It's a very intense energy, and it's almost like walking around this lake is like activating a remembrance or a code in your system, kind of like if you're, spiral dynamics, and, you've seen me talk about some of the things I did in Dom and Her Italy with DNA activation and walking through those spiral dynamics and activating certain codes. And so this place is so sacred and so far and such a journey to get to. Not many people, let alone ever get to visit it, let alone, because we were with an enlightened master, we show up and they had this whole tent set up to feed us. They had all these tents, these small tents for us to camp out, and already to camp out overnight. And so, we of course get access to being in this place, sleeping in this place. And the next morning, they say, just go down, do your process around the lake, and just, be on the land and meditate. And that's all we really were told and know. And so when I go down to start walking around the lake, there's this Indian gentleman, and he says, come with me. Okay. Okay. And I start walking with him, and he starts sharing these truths with me, and he tells me he is actually one of Swamiji's, which I get to remember to give you a little bit more understanding around the energy of an avatar, and this will kind of do it, but he's one of Swamiji's main disciples. He always has, it's just like Jesus. He had all his disciples around him. He has this, group of beings. Obviously, it's like he's walking around in pure worthiness, everything taken care of, and just, so there's even though it was a small group of us that was invited to go be with this, there was also his amount of disciples or devotees and followers. So I'd say there was probably like 30 to 40 of us maybe in total. And so it's not like, you're hanging out and there's 5 of you and you can touch him. But anyways, I start walking, and this guy tells me he's one of Swamiji's main disciples. He has taught over 30,000 students, that Swamiji would send people with him to this other sacred land. I don't remember the name of it right now, or I'm remembering it's written down somewhere, where he would teach them and take them through things, and how he just completed 6 months of meditation without food or water. He just meditated for 6 months straight. And as we're walking, and he's telling me chakras have sense, and we're interacting, and he's asking me questions about my practices and my spiritual practices, and he's teaching, and we're walking around the lake, and we're walking really slow, and he's just sharing all this knowledge with me. And I start to notice people passing us. And as they pass, I look up, and I see at the other side of the lake, at the very end of the lake, up the mountain, there's Swamiji, and he's like, it's just like this golden being in this white robe, and there's Swamiji with all these people gathered in front of him. And it's like seeing Jesus on the mountain, be like, oh my gosh, what's he saying? What's he doing? Oh my gosh, I want to be there. I want to be there. And FOMO hits, right? Fear of missing out. And I just noticed instantly, because people were walking by quickly, and it kind of caught my attention, like, why are they hurrying so fast? And I look up, and I'm like, oh, they're all literally trying to bolt around the lake, get up the mountain so they can be with Swamiji. Must be teaching or whatever. And so I noticed myself leave the present moment and get anxious. And again, so notice when there's not peace in the very thing that you're experiencing, okay, is when we're out of alignment. Because really, if everything is divinely perfect and planned, then when we don't feel good, we're not in alignment. We're not in alignment with our highest truest self. We're aligned to perfectly whatever we're experiencing. I'll be more clear about that. And so I noticed myself just get anxious for a second, like oh my gosh, like I want to either, should I end the conversation with him, or should I, can I hurry him along? And just, I wanted to be there. And then I caught it. And this is the thing, it's just about witnessing it. I caught it. And I was like, wait a minute. I know that I'm in the perfect place and time right now. Obviously, this information is being shared with me for a reason. Obviously, this divine being, who's one of his students, look at how blessed I am. The first night I got there, I got one of his main devotees, ended up walking with me and sharing all this stuff with me that I would have never known. I would have just been a crowd of people not knowing anything. And so I presenced myself to getting to be with this person and what they had to tell me, and we just continued to be in presence, and we walked slowly around the lake. And we get close to being near the end of the lake, and he tells me, he says, if Swamiji just touches your crown chakra and blesses your crown chakra, it's like meditating for an entire year straight. He's like, now we don't, he's like, that's not taught anywhere. He's like, that's just our own reference to the equality of the energy activated. And what happens in your system is that it's like sitting in meditation for an entire year straight. Now, I'm thinking, dope, I just want bing, I want to be touched by Swamiji. I want the bing, I want the crown chakra blessing. I'm thinking, thank you that I got this knowledge. I wouldn't have known that. So of course now all I'm creating, I'm intending is like, I want to get blessed by Swamiji. So then, thank him, and I start walking up the mountain, and I'm going up the mountain, and then I get to the person in front of me walking up the mountain, and it's this woman who is going really slow, like really slow. And I love how I used to be like, ah! And now I'm like, it's cool, I'm so chill now. I walk through the grocery store and be like, I said, why are people in such a rush? I used to be that person that was like, everything had to be done so fast, I had to do everything. And time was in crazy lack and scarcity. Now it's in so much abundance. It's so effortless and easy. So again, I noticed myself. I catch it. I wanted to, should I go around her? I felt anxious again. I wanted to get up on the hill. I wanted to be with Swamiji. I wanted to hear what he was saying. I didn't want to be missing out. And I caught it, and I presenced myself again and said, I'm always in the perfect place at the right time. I always arrive at the right time. I am divinely in perfect timing right now. Thank you, universe. And I was like, apparently I get to be in peace and presence right here, right now, just being in like gratitude and appreciation and bliss that I just received beautiful messages. I just got to walk around this lake that felt so much energy, and I'm walking this slow, and each step, so now I'm just looking down and I'm seeing the blades of grass, and I'm just being present, and I'm looking at the mountainside, and I'm just choosing appreciation versus expectation. Catch it? Appreciation versus expectation. And I'm just choosing to be in appreciation for what's in front of me. And so this is what I want to share about an avatar, is that there's so much energy, obviously from an enlightened being, that just for them to look at you will change your DNA and gives you a huge surge of energy and activation in your system. And so for them, it's like the spiritual guru, the other spiritual guru that I was with that kind of leads this mission, she was explaining that it's very much like spiritual surgery. They have to be aware of how much someone can take of them, how much energy they can handle, and how close they can be to them, and how much they actually make eye contact with them, and if they touch them or not. And again, lots of people are like, oh, I hope he touches me. I hope, like that was kind of the it's just respect and honor, and it's anyway. So as the people that were ahead of me were arriving, he's very particular, very what do I want to say? He's very directional. So he's like, telling people, you sit there, sit there, go there. Oh, you there, and he's literally placing these people kind of almost on the outskirts of the crowd, or sometimes in the middle of the crowd. And then he looks at me and he says, come. And this is Swamiji's chair. Let's say that this is his chair. He sets me down, boop, right in front of his chair. He tells me, he's standing over there, and he says, right there, tells me to sit right there. And I sit down, and then he goes, like scoot back. So I scoot back. I'm literally like this far away from his chair. So there's like enough room for feet, right, or legs. And I didn't even know necessarily this was his chair, other than there was another chair that the other spiritual guru, Shakti Durga, was sitting at. And then her daughter was sitting kind of like in between her and him. And he tells me to sit right there. So I'm sitting next to her daughter. And then he sits down. And for those of you that maybe haven't heard this or know this, is you notice when you there's a guru or an enlightened master or someone that it's not only like an honoring, but people will bow down, put their head to the ground or just bow down, and they'll a lot of times touch their foot. So there's even like statues of a guru or master. You'll see people go up to a temple and they'll bow down to it and they'll touch the foot. It's like receiving, it's a way of like receiving the energy or the essence of this enlightened master and the consciousness that they carry. And so the guru's foot is actually known as the most powerful energy surge and source, because it's constantly, that's where the energy is flowing out of. So people will just, get to touch the foot. And I'd seen times where someone, even like some of his followers, would come up and they'd bow down, he'd greet them and they'd bow down and try to reach for his foot, and he would actually grab them and lift them up. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe they couldn't handle the surge of energy. I don't know, because obviously he's so aware. So this is what's so divine. Okay, now bringing myself back to presence, knowing I'm perfectly in each moment. If I had rushed myself up there, then I might have been in an energy of lack and scarcity and worry and not enough and fear of missing out. And I don't know that obviously that the energy never lies. Well, what happened was, literally as he sat down, his toes were in my bum. His toes were in my ass. His toes were literally, boop, tucked into my bum. And even as we were singing and chanting and he started tapping his foot, this is happening in my bum. So for like 2 hours, an hour and a half at least, an hour and a half to 2 hours, we started off by singing and chanting, and then oming together as a group. I mean, in this sacred place, it was just, oh my gosh, like there's no words for this. And then went into silent meditation for a long time. And then he brings us out of it oming and chanting again. And then he's teaching. It's like sitting with Jesus, and he's sharing analogies and he's teaching with stories. And then these are being relayed back to us because he's not speaking in English. And the entire time, I have toes in my bum. I have this energy of God consciousness just flowing into my system. And I think about how like this actual, this that I wear all the time that has Ganesh. Ganesh is my other dude. Ganesh is the head of angels. Has a Ganesh and it has a yantra on it. This was actually manifested for me out of thin air by the other avatar, which I was just blessed to. He called like 5 of us to sit and be with him, which doesn't happen, and calls me to sit in front of him and tells me to hold out my hand, and he says, he just starts doing this in thin air, nothing in his hand. I can see, and there's like there's these other people sitting there, saw the exact same thing go down, and he just does this, and then he drops this medallion into my hand, and he says, wear this every day and do the mantra Om Kankang Ganapate Sharanam, which is the Ganesh mantra. One of the, it's like a little bit more than the normal Ganesh mantra. And so it's releasing the resistance. Well, I tell you what, that was March, and then I came back and all the identity had to shift and everything got released. And so I feel so divinely blessed that I feel I've been blessed with so much interaction and experience. And one of the things that the other spiritual teacher had said is, because some people were just like, oh, I hope they hoped to get an interaction with him, to get a touch from him, etc. And was saying that when you see this enlightened master that is maybe giving someone so much attention, it's because they see the light that they get to be for the world, the leader that they get to be, the message that they get to be, what they're here to do. And so they're giving them so much attention to activate within their system all this DNA and this remembrance and this energy and this consciousness. So, that was my day number 2. That was just one experience. And the thing that I want to share around this, my voice is actually still settling. My voice has changed several times. Every time I do a massive up level, all this stuff came through. My voice got heavy again, and my voice is actually settling. So my voice might be different, but I'm still having some clearing going on with that. But if we knew that everything if you knew everything was divinely timed, everything was divinely planned, then so there was no separation from you in this moment. There was no judgment on why you're having an experience, or shame or blame or story or perception because of maybe what you've been taught or programmed with. If you knew that everything is one cell, every cell in your being is a perfect reflection of the universe. Did you know that? That literally every cell of your being is a perfect reflection of the universe. So there is no separation with anything. And this is why what I want to break it down to, because that can seem so complex. That can be like so complex for, again, our understanding to try to align to. And so what I really want to, I want to put context to our understanding is, how do we then align to this? Like, so let's say, for instance, that this was a huge blessing. And so my experience after that happened, being like so, I mean, like, he gets up. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I got to tell you this. This is so good too. So remember how I was just like, I just want to be touched by, even though I had literally toes in my bum for 2 hours straight. I'm always willing to receive more. Again, I had wanted to be blessed on the crown chakra based on what, you know, his disciple or devotee had told me. And so he gets up and he turns to the spiritual guru, Shakti Durga. He kisses her forehead, touches her crown. He leans down to her daughter, kisses her forehead, touches her crown. And the whole time he's doing this, I'm right here, I'm looking up, and I'm like, please bless me, 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 please bless me. That's what I'm saying in my head. Please bless me. I think he got the message, because he literally went to, after kissing her, it's like he was going to walk this direction, and then he stops, turns, looks down at me, like obviously heard the message loud and clear, and leans down, kisses my forehead, touches my crown, grabs my hand, holds my hand, and then he walks that way. And as he just held my hand, like I was letting him go. And then as, you know, they tell everyone, okay, you know, quietly get up and go down the mountain, I'm just sitting there. It's like once the toes were out of my bum, and it's just all of a sudden like coming back into this dimension of reality. I was trying to get back into my body, just felt like the entire time it was, I want to say, rainbow light body activation. It was like receiving the feeling of crystalline consciousness through every cell of my being was just lit. And I was literally, when we were meditating, I was gone. I was like some other dimension. Like there was no separation of self with him, with the people, with the grass, Gaia that was holding me, Shiva and Shakti. Like, it's like I was gone because I had dissipated into energy, and every single part of my being was one with all things in every cell. And even as much as in my human body and physical form, I have been aligning to being at peace with all things in every situation, every experience, and being a frequency of divine unconditional love. This was a whole nother layer and level, I gotta say. Like, so, and then people start to get up, and I literally couldn't move. And I just felt this such, I felt such a tenderness. And that's actually what's really been settling into my system. So much more is just this divine softness and peace with life and all things, and just what I want to share in this absolute, like, the beauty of all things. And obviously my name, Divine Beauty, which I'll share, is all why, like, wow, that's really part of my journey, my call. But it was just like, my whole system just felt, I don't even know that there is a human word for it. And that's why I say it felt like light body activation, or just complete connection to all things in pure, just divine light, like just being submerged with light. And there's no word for it, but it just, like, what landed after as I was coming back into my body was just like I just felt all, like, my heart expansion was just like exploded into just, I'm light. And it just was so sweet and so tender and so soft. And people started leaving and going off the hill, and as even they're like, come, I'm like, just just give me a minute. And I just had tears that started streaming down my face because it was such a gift, and I felt so blissed and blessed. And that was, like I said, that was just one of my experiences too. And so to go in that journey, and this is the learning after that I want to share. So one of the things that he shared on the mountain was that we could have whatever we want. He's like, I bless you all that you can have whatever you want. Now this is the interesting thing is, even though I took in all that energy and all that activation, I have to be willing to choose it and to receive it. I have to be willing to accept it. And I caught myself asking, like, how, like, did I really receive that? Did I allow all of that to settle into my system? Can I really receive that amount of energy and activation? Can I receive that amount of blessing? Can I receive that blessing? Can I really receive that? Because there's a part of us that wants to go, yeah, right? Like, it's like being told you can have whatever you want, but I want to put it in words of like maybe the human construct of understanding is like, sure. Can it be that easy? Because what have we been trained in our entire lives is that it has to be hard instead of it gets to be easy. It really is as easy as hard to choose. So here, even I receive all the blessing, and I caught myself in catching where in my system did I feel like I couldn't breathe that in and allow that to settle and allow that knowingness or that feeling to be true. And I evaluated, what do I really want, and where would anything be out of alignment for me in accepting that? Because something that we had discussed around this with some of his devotees was that this is where people don't see the micro alignment. They say they want something, but then your words are saying something else. Your perceptions, your judgments, your thoughts, your feelings that you put out are saying something completely different. And so it's like you're not willing to receive that. And so I want to make it really simple. This is where I want to bring it back into context and allow you to integrate. If you bring it back to, these simple principles, as much as we want to create validations or stories or this time is different than that, bring it back to the principle and the law of how the universe functions and what you are, how you operate from your divinity. And really, when you just ask, am I at peace and harmony right now? Am I at peace and harmony right now with everything? Is everything in front of me showing up in peace and harmony? And this is what I mean. Okay, so I'll give you an example of when we were, so you now hear all the blessings that I received from getting to this place. On the journey up there, when I said like it was like a 6, 7, 8 hour journey, literally these roads are so bumpy. I'm in the back like this, and I banged my head a couple times, I smacked my head on the window, got like literally whole body being bounced around, and very windy roads. Like they had already said, there was people through this entire journey, all the journeys that we got to do, a lot of it was just traveling through the Himalayas. A lot of people sick, a lot of people thrown up, a lot of that. And I was like, I'll be fine, I'll take the back. And I was bouncing around so much. After about 5 hours, I was like, it was starting to be like agitated. I was starting to not feel harmony with the experience. And I literally, my human brain, or the thoughts that came up were, you gotta be kidding me. This is freaking ridiculous. Like, this is not, like, it's like some sort of entitlement of this should look a different way. You guys should have thought about this. There should have been an easier way. This should be a retreat, or this should be a more enjoyable experience. Like, this is a little much. Like, this is a little too far. Like, I started feeling agitated in my system from all the bouncing around in the windy roads, and like no idea where we were going, when we would get there. And it's a complete surrender process. And my sister Katerina, as I shared some of the stories with her, she was like, oh sister, such an initiation. It's an initiation journey to get to the blessings. And I found out later that even almost every Shiva temple, which Shiva is pure divine consciousness or cosmic consciousness, almost every Shiva temple is like a journey to get to, because not that many people will go the route to get there. And I felt like this was, not that many people would get invited to be in this frequency and then be literally willing to go the journey to receive these kind of blessings. So what I mean is, as I caught myself, and this is what I want you to look at. Does my attitude, do my thoughts, the stories that I'm having, do they take me out of peace? That is how simple it is to realign and to see what's right in front of you that is revealing itself for you to become in harmony with exactly what you planned for your soul's kindest, the kindest act your soul created for you to be able to become in neutrality or peace with something, see the judgment or the story, and be able to heal it, right? And so I just caught myself out of peace, and that I was getting agitated, and these thoughts were coming up, and it's like, well, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the person that is like, I mean, look at the blessing that I have available in front of me. And if I would have stayed in a place of like negative attitude, gotten up there and then been pissed off, like that was just way too much, this is ridiculous, then I'm putting out that frequency. And guess what? The level of experience that you can have with a group is also the lowest level vibration that exists. So as I caught just myself, taking myself out of peace, I instantly was like, okay, what do I get to do to be in peace right now? How do I create peace right now? And so I just went into meditation, and I let my body, and it was interesting because one of the devotees had said something about how one of the first times that she was riding through the Himalayas, and one of the Indian women smacked her and said, relax. And she was like, she thought she was relaxed, but she didn't realize she was just, sitting with her. It's like we're so conditioned to be in constriction. Our jaws are constricted. We're holding tightness in our body. Like we've become used to the conditioning in all ways that we have. And instead of, oh, wait, well, actually, this would be more natural for my system, or this would assist me more. And so she had mentioned how she didn't even realize she wasn't relaxing until this lady said, relax. You have to relax and let the mountain move you, and just be in flow with it, or you'll literally get out and be all jacked up. And believe me, I felt like I got hit by a truck. It was definitely a whole other journey. And so I didn't know this at the time, but I was like, how do I get to be at peace with this situation? And I was like, all right, what I can do is I can just bring my mind to peace and my soul to peace, and I can just meditate. So I literally just dropped in, and I went somewhere else. And so it's kind of like I intentionally left my body to allow my body to just be at peace. And so it's like I let my body just shake and bounce around, and I stopped smacking my head and hitting my head, and just literally was just I made it through the last 2 to 3 hours just meditating to arrive there. And so when we bring each thing back to, instead of, and we look at our attitude, we look at our thoughts, we look at all these things, and it's like, again, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the person who gets out of the car and has a negative attitude, or I do want to be like, yay, oh my goodness, we made it, look at this beautiful place. Like we were up there on the clouds, literally the clouds, the sunset. If you saw some of my pictures I shared, the clouds coming in over the mountains. It's like, just to be in that place in the world, what a rare experience and opportunity. Who was I going to be? Was I going to be in gratitude and appreciation for all the beauty that was available? Or was I going to be looking for and creating something else, some sort of agitation or an attitude or an expectation? So when we bring it back and you ask yourself, whoa, what would love do? How can I serve? What frequency do I want to be? Because again, when you know that your energy creates everything. This is why I'm so always saying, like, it's the underlying frequency that is actually creating everything for you. When you bring it back to like, what's that frequency? What am I putting out that is exactly what I'm going to receive back? So if I want to have a bitch attitude, then guess what I'm going to receive? I'm going to receive some more struggle that's going to continue to show me where I'm not in harmony and peace, so that I can learn to be in harmony and peace, or I get to keep experiencing that. Because that is exactly what my soul requires. To be in bliss state consciousness is to be able to be at peace with all things, and drop the stories and attachments and expectations and entitlement and shame and blame and judgments and all those things that aren't aligned to bliss. And so when I think about, again, I use the statement of, am I in appreciation or expectation? Did I have an expectation that it shouldn't be that hard to get up the hill, or that I shouldn't bounce around? Is my story that I shouldn't be bouncy? Is my story that they should have had somehow paved the roads for us up in the Himalayas so that we could ride like night? Yes, I create being fully worthy of support and luxury, and the reason I can create that is also because I can create being at harmony and peace, and I can get rugged and dirty and be grateful for all of it. And so, just think about when we bring it back to integrating it into our life. Are you in appreciation for everything that comes in? Even Swami said it. I love this man. He is so tuned and tapped in, and here he's running this retreat center, and he's supported me at all these beautiful adventures that have shown up. And as we have these conversations and the things in his life, he's like, yes, why would I think about the past or the future? He's like, that just creates suffering. He's like, appreciate everything that I'm in right now. It's all perfect. He's like, appreciate everything that comes in and everything that goes out. If it comes in, I appreciate it. And then if it goes, I appreciate it. And that's really it. It's that simple. Can I live in appreciation? And just to put this into understanding for you, appreciation is, I want to say it's one of the keys, or it is the key to abundance. Generosity is the key to abundance as well. So it's like, whatever I give, when I can give generously, of course, then it's like I'm saying, I have plenty. I'm so worthy of, like, I share and I give, there's so plenty. What am I giving out? And it turns around and comes right back to me. Just like I invest in myself and these experiences that are so transformational, I invest in myself and my growth and all that. I'm giving to myself, and I'm giving out that energy, the law of parallel returns. Whatever you put energy into is what you receive back. Just like the law of attraction and frequency, whatever I'm putting out is what I'm receiving back. Whatever I'm focusing on is what I'm finding. So whatever we resist persists. We know, we've heard that one. Many of you probably have. So an example of this would be when after actually left the Himalayas, or where we were in the one space in the Himalayas, we were going to be traveling down to this town, and to be able to then the next day take a journey up to a Shiva temple high up in the mountains, and to be able to go get into this hot springs where apparently Shiva and Hanuman had meditated for like 1,000 years, and just getting to be in this was like stripping away like energy and lifetimes and all this. Well, it's pouring down rain, like it's raining right now. It starts pouring down rain, and we're driving again probably another 8 to 10 hours in the rain. Maybe I'm exaggerating, could have been 6 to 8, but it was a long time. And we drive down to get to this town, and we arrive super late at night, a lot later than we thought we were going to arrive. And, it's raining all through the night, and we wake up, and they're like, we can't go. They're like, it's 50-50 chance of mudslides or mudslides or the slides, and it's just not safe. It's not safe to journey up there in cars, let alone then we would be hiking for a while, and they're just like, it's not safe. So for right now, we're grounded in the hotel, and we don't know if it'll change, if it'll stop, and we'll get to go to that or the hot springs or what. But for right now, we're grounded in the hotel. And so again, it's like, what came up, or what could come up if we had expectations or attachments, etc. It'd be like, oh, I really wanted to go to the Shiva temple. Oh, I really wanted to go to that hot springs. And if we're in attachment or expectation, see, then we're not in peace. We have a story of what it should be. Well, we all know that whatever shows up is perfect. It's all what we chose. It's all for our perfect growth and experience. We had the most glorious day of not only getting teachings from Shakti Durga and doing some chanting and doing a sound healing, and then getting to sit with Swamiji teaching for hours. And I'm sitting there like recording and taking notes, just these divine, like, he shares these stories a lot like Jesus, like analogies. He shares these analogies. And actually, one of the not only Mahavatar Babaji, but a lot of people say he is the incarnation of also the energy of Jesus. And so it's like he's sharing, and now that I find that funny now as I think about, oh, and here I'm always referring to him in this, and that he shares these analogies and these stories and these teachings within these stories that are just so beautiful. And we got hours of this. Not to mention, it's like when we witness, when we you know, when we allow ourselves to move beyond the story, we find the blessing. So just like when I, you know, that journey up the Himalayas, if I would have been in an attitude, negative attitude, I don't think I would have been worthy of receiving the amount of energy and activation, or I would have been able to be in his space in that proximity. And being at the hotel, us knowing we're like, cool, this is divinely perfect. We get to, we're always experiencing it. And that's what everyone was reflecting. Everyone's like, cool, it is what it is. You know, what do we get to create? What do we get to experience? Oh, this is so beautiful. Because we all are at a place of knowing that there would be no reason to fight what's actually in our reality. That would just create suffering. And that would actually be to deny your own divinity, because your own divinity has actually been the thing that has set it up for you. And so, the other thought, there's one other thing that came through I wanted to share with you around that. Okay, so like the morning, this is after we left. When we actually left, we decided the next day, so we were grounded for a day, the next day it's still pouring down rain. And they're like, okay, we feel like we get to leave. We're gonna head back to the ashram, because we packed for like 3 days, a 3-day journey. We're just gonna go back and reload and then go somewhere else. And so they're like, pack up, we're heading out. We head out, and literally within minutes of when we left, there's a video of this. Someone had a video that someone captured after we left, within like, I don't even want to say how long, but it was really a short time from when we left. The actual street that we were on flooded through, and the water literally swept the bus off the road and put it into the river. So it's like, yeah, we're totally safe. We're with an enlightened master. And the moment we left, it was like the calling was like, okay, go now. And so we head back, we get to the ashram. Now we're kind of grounded. And so again, letting go of attachments of like these places we were going to go, or what was going to happen. And in the morning at the ashram, they do a fire ceremony, like 5 in the morning. And a fire ceremony is like a cleansing ceremony. And so I'm intending, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the fire ceremony at 5 in the morning. And I was boing all night long and didn't necessarily sleep. And so like, you know, my alarm goes off, and I hear that first off it's pitch black, and I hear that it's still just pouring down rain. And so my human brain is like, oh my gosh, it's pouring rain. Do I really want to go? Like, cause you have to walk out of the ashram and literally like walk up the pathway up into the mountain to get up to the place where the fire ceremony would be. So my first thoughts are like, you know, it's pouring down rain. And I'm looking for a reason, because I felt tired and kind of groggy. And then I noticed like there's not a single light. It's pitch black. I'm like, oh my gosh, the power's out. Because even when we were in the hotel and we're doing this chanting and singing, we're doing all these experiences, the lights are on and off, like power's in and out. And we're just laughing at it and playing with it. We're like all of a sudden in the pitch black and just still chanting and singing, and the lights are back on. And the thought was like, I was like, oh, like it powers out. Like I wouldn't even be able to see to, you know, get my stuff. And I was like, and I had that thought, I was like, oh, power's out. If the power's out, I'm definitely not going. And a thought comes in that says, oh, is that all it takes? Is that what's gonna stop you? What are you really here for? And I was like, oh, what am I really here for? And what was interesting is, see, when we listen, the night before, something said to me, get your flashlight and put it by your bed. Okay, put the flashlight by my bed. So then I go, oh yeah, you already prepared me. Flashlight, bing, turn on the flashlight, of course I can go. And so I, you know, and there was a lot of people that I know were planning on it that opted out. And that's not to say that that's not perfect, because there was another day that I opted out. And, but I, you know, got on my rain gear and go heading up the mountain, got to do this beautiful, be a part of this beautiful fire ceremony for those individuals who made it up there. And then after, I went to, behind it, there's this big, gorgeous meditation hall, or this meditation place with this amazing, you know, thing of Mahavatar Babaji at the front, and just these meditation cushions. And I went in there and the energy was amazing, and I got to sit there and just meditate for a really long time. And when I came out, the rain had stopped, and I had this gorgeous view of the mountains and the river, and I got to go on this beautiful walk to walk back down to the ashram. And who's standing in front of the ashram? Swamiji. Swamiji's standing in front of the ashram, and as I walk up, he turns to me and he opens his arms and he hugs me and embraces me. And I mean, so the point is that when we instead of fight what's in front of us, we appreciate what's in front of us, and we get clear and into alignment with it, whether it be whatever the story is that's taking you out of peace, and we just witness it. So this is the how to align to the blessing, right? If I would have been in a story in the morning and been like, I didn't really sleep, it's different if I'd have been like, you know what, my little girl and myself, like I get to create some more sleep and I'm at peace with what I say, so I'm going to choose to stay and I'm going to choose to sleep. But the stories were like, I don't feel good and it's raining and the power's out. And it took some like, wait a minute, what, is that really a big deal? Like, what am I really here for? What experience is my soul seeking? Like what, and as I align to then like, okay, this is what feels good. This is what I want. And I choose and being at peace with it, and then I received like I was like, that was the most glorious morning. And that actually was the day, again, because we were grounded and it started raining again, and we stayed at the ashram, that we had all these other experiences, and that was the day that I received my spiritual name, or my soul's name. So the thing that I want to share with you, again, like, ask these questions. It's like, is my attitude, my thoughts, the stories, my perception, my feelings about something, is it taking me out of peace? Then maybe if you ask, what would love do? How could I serve? Because whatever you give out, you're going to receive. So how could I be in service right now? How can I serve? Like, who do I want to be? Like, am I in an expectation right now? Do I have an attachment to something right now? What's when we just break it down to simplicity, it's like, what's the story or the thought that is creating resistance for me? Oh, the story is that it should look like this. The story is that I'm missing out. Oh, see, like, oh, I'm in FOMO. Wait a minute. Is that really even true? What's really true, remember the principle, I'm in the perfect place, time, and sequence right now. I'm in divine timing. I am always in perfect flow with the universe, because the universe always provides my greatest, grandest adventures, my lover, so it obviously knows exactly where I'm supposed to be and what's supposed to be my space, so pay attention to what's here in this moment. And then I just witness it. So when I witness it, I can bring myself back into alignment. And if you guys aren't in my programs, or if you are, you'll know the #1 tool. And if you're not, it's so easy to get this tool. This tool is I call it my 5-step tool. Everyone that's in knows about my 5-step tool, because it was even the tool, it's the main tool that reprogrammed how my brain works and how to operate in alignment, or how to bring all of my operating systems, such as my beliefs, my perceptions, my expression, my voice, right? The words that I'm speaking, my feelings, bring them into alignment with my divinity. Because if one's out here and one's out here, it doesn't matter if I'm saying this, if I feel this and it's out of alignment, no wonder you're not manifesting. So how do we bring everything into alignment that you actually easily, this is why manifestation can be so easy, is you easily receive the thing in front of you, or the thing that you want to be experiencing. So this is my 5 steps to overcome sabotage, or 5 steps to return back to freedom. So if you don't know what that is, I'll have my team poster. You can look for the Freedom Audios. The Freedom Audio, it's like $33. And again, this is because you get to invest energy in yourself to receive that. That walks through those 5 steps. That is the main tool. Literally, I gave my $1 million clients, everyone in all my programs. If you get into my Lock Last program, which is the very first foundation of teaching you how to align inch by inch into this integration, the 5 steps is like, this is the easy process to always do. And guess what? You reprogram yourself to operate from that space. So it's literally about, how do I witness it and how do I realign it? And realigning it is super simple, and it's just an easy 5. For me, I walk people through that easy 5-step process of witnessing it and bringing it back. So it's so easy to go, oh, okay, so this is how I consciously now can respond instead of unconsciously react, so that I'm actually going to get what I want to create. So I want you to hear this. Witness it. Witness it. And the thing is that your mind is not the instrument, okay? Because you see how the mind is actually the thing that wants to come up, that wants to bring me a story, and the mind's actually just letting me see and hear what's there in my system, what stories I've had, what programming I have, what fears I have, what's there. So the mind is not the instrument, your soul is the instrument. But the mind is bringing you, it's like it's feeding your soul with what's there. And I also always say that the mind is just filling in the gaps for you. It's not, that's why us to just focus on mindset and just to do this mental programming game, let me plan it out. If I tried to plan all this out, I would literally block myself from receiving all of this gloriousness. There is no way I could create the grandest adventure the universe brings and aligns for me with the most amazing people and experiences, etc., if I tried to control it and I tried to plan it out. That would be coming from my scared self in lack and scarcity that feels the need to control because I'm afraid of what it's going to look like, and I'm afraid of it, failure, rejection, worry. All of that comes from control. It's actually surrender and trust that is the highest frequency, because it is an allowance, it's an open energy, it's a receiving energy. I'm receiving, and this is why the more we can embody or balance our masculine and feminine. So masculine, the doing in inspiration, is divine alignment, or in alignment, I'll say. Operating in the masculine in alignment means it's inspired action. I can move with ease and do this with ease. It all shows up for me. The path of ease shows up for me. The feeling good shows up for me to do, and I can receive. I receive the inspiration. I receive the people. I receive the experiences. It's this beautiful balance of the divine feminine masculine, which are actually one. We try to separate or study them maybe separately so that our mental, our mind, our human mind can try to understand it, but they're truly never separate. They're always actually one. And so when you realize, what are you going to choose to, I want to say, what are you going to choose to feed it with? Like when you witness it, then what do you choose to feed this instrument with? So the instrument, it shows you what's there, and then you have a choice to just witness it. Witness what's playing out. And now this comes without shaming it or blaming it or judging it. It comes from just, let me witness this. And now let me actually be with it and go, oh, interesting. Okay, so is that the energy? Is that energy going to create what I want to experience? Is that energy supporting me, or is it actually hurting me? So whatever you choose then to feed what's coming through is going to either is going to empower you, or it's going to enslave you. It's gonna make you strong or make you weak. It actually reminds me of Nako Bear, medicine for the people. I don't know if it's just Nako Bear. Anyways, Nako Bear is a great artist. I love his music. In fact, he has Aloha Keaku is one of my favorite songs. Gavin the Great, my youngest, he can say that whole thing like ding to a T, even the fast version. And Nako Bear has a song. I know he has a song, and where he says, "Which wolf will you feed? One will make you strong, one will make you weak." Meaning, like, you're feeding your soul. Whatever you choose to feed, you're either going to strengthen that or you're going to weaken it. And it's the same kind of thing. Which one will you feed? And so what I really want you guys to come to understanding with, or maybe this is the next teaching really coming through, is because we can witness it, but the challenge is in our human understanding, we've judged it. We've shamed it, we've blamed it. And when I'm trying to explain to you, or just allowing you to hear that there is nothing to judge or try or strive for or fight, because it's all been perfectly designed for you anyways. It's all been divinely planned for you anyways, right? And so it's like the duality of it. That's really the next thing I really want you to understand, is the duality of it. Is that when we can accept that this is a part of our experience, the duality or polarity exists, right? The duality and polarity exist. They just do. Like, we wouldn't actually have this world and this universe without polarity and without the duality. So a big, huge growth for me was actually learning and just being okay with the fact that the duality of all things. And what that means is, so when I witness the human thoughts, or just the thoughts that come from this human understanding, I can actually love the duality. And guys, I've entered in such a different place of peace and acceptance and neutrality with all things by practicing loving the duality. Not going, oh, well, like, I had a negative thought, I had a judgment, I did a negative behavior, or what you would consider negative. Again, in truth, there is no negative or positive. It just is. It's just an energy, and it's just an experience, and it was exactly what you chose, and exactly what you required, and exactly what your frequency was attracting. When we take full responsibility, there is no good or bad or wrong or right, because this is all based off perception, and all things are true, and there is no logic, because logic is trying to figure it out with your brain, which is just a construct of understanding, which doesn't even really exist. We live in a dualistic reality. And in fact, if we were going to go really woo-woo, it's like there's all lifetimes, parallel lifetimes, dimensions, realities, all happening now. It's already done. It's already been pre-framed, and you're literally here in a divinity exchange of experience with sacred contracts for you to learn exactly what you wanted to learn and experience all emotions, all things. And if you're not okay with that, if you're not okay with the duality, then you're in for a ride, because we're all in for a ride. But it's when we actually can embrace and be at peace with the duality. So the moment that I see and I witness what I might have judged in the past, or I might have shamed, or a behavior that comes up, or anything, and I can just like, and again, I kind of share this and teach this with the 5 steps, and how we just notice what our little boy, our little girl is really seeking, what's really going on, and how we just go, sweetie, thank you for letting me know that's the thought, or that's the perception, or that's the story, or that's the program, or that's what you're feeling. And I can actually love and honor that I had that thought or that behavior or that thing, because that's there as a part of my dual experience. And can I love the sadness just as much as I can love the joy and the light? Okay, and so knowing this really brought me peace, is to know, especially in my design and my gene keys, and there's so much more information to go further in understanding yourself and know thyself, that you can be at peace and know like what is your gifts, your purpose, your opening the pathways for you to receive your prosperity and be a full expression of yourself. There's so many more avenues to supporting that. But even in knowing my own gene keys, and knowing in my own human design, and knowing the way that I'm built and designed, and being able to allow myself to see the shadow frequencies, and then loving those is what transmute them to a gift frequency, and the Siddhic frequency, the highest aligned state. And so the more I became at peace with just knowing part of my design, because I feel I'm a teacher and I'm a changer. Those are part of my design as a 6/3 in my gene keys. And my main gift is sensitivity. And again, coming from a different place, I would have blocked feeling. I would have blocked sensitivity. Would have been vulnerable and scary and weak and blah 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 blah. All those stories. And the more I've actually activated all my gifts, the more that's why it's opening me up to be able to open up all sorts of dimensions and gifts, and open up all greater abilities to be able to sense and feel all things. And so being in that I can feel things so intensely. That's also why I'm very aware of my space and my energy. And so it's like to know that as high as I'm willing to go, I can only go as high as I'll allow myself to go, I'll say. I can only receive as much joy and pleasure and luxury, being treated like a queen and a goddess, completely supported in luxury, money effortlessly flowing in from giving my value to the world, alignment with my body, knowing that I design my cells, all of these things. I can only receive as much of that as I'm willing to go as low with it, because that is the duality. So love is not to only love it when it looks like this, or to only love a person. Like, it's easy to be all high vibe spiritual when you're in ashram, and when you're in a temple, and when you're around just the people that you love and enjoy. And I've been witnessing this recently, as I had a lot of people reach out and message me in the video that I shared the other day. I felt really called to just do around this, was people judging others for their low vibration of the things they were speaking out. And instead of like, well, you wanting to prove yourself right and them to hear what you have to say and be right is the same exact thing. And it's actually, we're not going to teach love by saying you're wrong and you should think this way. You should think in peace and harmony and love. So you're wrong and what you're doing is wrong, and this, let me shame you and tell you why you're wrong. You're doing the same exact thing. You're trying to prove yourself right to someone who's trying to prove themselves right. And we can see why we're just creating more of the same exact thing, and we're in conditioning of communication instead of conscious alignment of communication, which is, I honor you. Thank you. I honor you to believe what you want to believe and do what you want to do and experience what you're here to experience, and be be that. And I'll stand for my own truth. And I can honor the duality. So if I can't accept what you would call, how do I want to put this? You would call them imperfections. If I can't accept if I see something as an imperfection, or something I don't like, and I can't accept the imperfections out there, it's because I can't accept me having those imperfections. So I can't, if I witness someone as being judgmental, I'm not willing to love my own judgments and love myself in judgment, or love the judgments around myself, or witness or even accept how I do the same exact thing. Now we can go, oh no, but that's wrong because they're doing this and they're not standing for women and they're being vulgar or da 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 da, and we should stand together and we should say against. Well, against is an energy. Come back to the principle, whatever energy you put out is what you're going to receive. So you'll continue to have more assholes show up in your space so that you can fight them because you think you're standing for the good instead of being the frequency of truth and love and light. So when we honor that we have this duality to have all experiences, I wouldn't learn to be the greatest light of love and joy and worthiness for myself if I hadn't also learned to love the greatest depths of where I felt scared and not enough and you know, all of that. So it's really a game of acceptance, and it's a game of neutrality. It's a game of non-attachment. It's the moment we recognize that there's an attachment to something. Again, I'm not coming from appreciation. I have a story or an attachment, an expectation, an entitlement. Just notice the energy. The energy to all things is going to be a reflection of what you're going to create. So when we realize, just like if we chose when we were stranded at the hotel to not be attached to the idea that we were supposed to go to this hot springs or we were supposed to climb a mountain and be with Shiva. In fact, we actually created a super dope, cool meditation where we journeyed there in our minds. And it was one of the coolest experiences ever. And I wouldn't have had that experience if I hadn't been open to, like, all right, cool, what else do we get to create an experience? And that was perfect. And we received all these extra interactions and blessings and things like this because of this. So the message is witness what's there. Love and accept everything that has come in and everything that you're giving out, or everything that's going out of your life and everything that's coming in your life. Am I at peace and harmony with all things? If I'm not, that's the reflection for you of what that's being revealed for you. What's inside here that then I can move through and heal and love to allow me to live in another place where then again those things stop showing up. They stop triggering you. The kind of behavior stops showing up. You know, like it dissipates when it's healed and there's love to it. So like if you give love to your fear, it dissipates. If you give love to your unhappiness, it dissipates. So can I love myself? And this has been the journey for me. And if you're into the gene keys, I believe it's gene key number 2 really dives deep into you know, loving even those moments. It's like I can just know, oh, this is part of my human journey and experience. I'm feeling this right now. I'm feeling the depths and what am I feeling? And I actually can be with that emotion, and I can love my little girl through it, and I can ask for like me to be wrapped in the arms of love and wrapped in the arms of the divine. And I ask Archangel Michael, I'm like, hey, wrap me up. Give me some, like, wrap me up in love, Archangel Michael. I ask for the violet flame to stream through my system and cleanse my energy. And I just hold my little girl and I be with that. And if I can be with that, and I can be with the thoughts that come up of like my imperfections that you would call imperfections that we really know are your perfections. They're your perfect experiences. They're your perfect behaviors. You're all things. And guys, this is what's really coming through, is sharing with you why this is how I received my name. Of Sundari. So again, if we would have been off adventuring, this probably wouldn't have happened. And just how the universe, if you start to listen, the universe always prepares you. I could go off for hours again on all these little fun ways every single day. The universe, like even today, the fact that it was pouring down rain. Every day I've been going to Oroville to meditate in this place, and yesterday it said, you're not going tomorrow, don't go tomorrow. So I canceled the driver, and then today it shows up pouring in rain, and they would have canceled it anyways. So it's like, I'm just literally divinely always prepared and gifted with every little thing. But what's coming through is to share with you how I received my my divine name. And if we would have been off adventuring, it wouldn't have happened. But a couple months ago, I actually was sitting with a dear friend, back when I was in San Diego and she was telling me about her receiving, her feeling really called to have this other name. And I've seen lots of friends who've jumped online and been like, this is my name now. And then sometimes it changes back or it changes to something else. And I've never felt called to do anything like that. But it was a couple months ago, actually, before I had this conversation with her, I started just with all this identity, like shedding. And interestingly enough, years ago, when I found out for those of you that don't know my story, I had, my former, who I refer to as my former, which is ex, when I found out he was cheating, and my babes, my little boys were 1 and 4 years old, I became a $2 an hour waitress, and I felt, I created my new identity. I created, Marci Locke is the identity of the new being that I was choosing into. And as all this stuff was shedding and identity was shifting, I kind of started to feel like this stuff kept coming up around my name. Like I was like, I don't know, and then my friend had a new name, and it was interesting, just all these little pop-ins of it. And then when I got to the place where I met up with this group, and they're introducing themselves to me, and they all have these like names of gods, goddesses, deities, or energy, that like a certain energy. It's like that is their expression. And I'm like, I'm Marci. And the first lady I meet says, interesting. She was like, you might receive your name while you're here. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I said, that's actually been coming up for me. Like, there's just been little reflections of that. And then as I was walking with that first devotee I told you about, that I was blessed to tell me all about it, she literally said something to me about the understanding of receiving your soul's remembrance name. And then it kept just popping into my field. And so then here, this day that we're grounded again in the rain, wasn't at this hotel, it was back when we were at the ashram. And I had I was processing. There was a lot of things I got to look at when I was looking at, am I willing to receive this blessing of Swamiji saying, you can have whatever you want? And I got really clear and was looking at like, no, I got this. I'm so good at like the operating patterns. This is what I do. This is what I teach people. I'm so good at aligning like the words and the thoughts, etc. And then I caught myself and I was like, I had some things show up and I was like, whoa, that actually was coming from ego. That was coming from being an identity. Interesting. I was like, wait, what was I speaking? What's really true? Does that match to the micro, what I'm saying I'm willing to receive? If I'm talking about, because again here it's like I've shed all identity. People are like, who are you? What do you do? It was like sharing even who I was or what I did was a form of not receiving right now who I choose to be right now. And I was like, whoa, I caught it. And I was like, wow, I'm speaking in this moment something that was instead of what is and what I am. And wow, thank you for that reflection that I'm out of micro alignment to receive the macro alignment. And so that's again where I catch, am I willing to receive the blessing? If I am now, because then did the words reflect me being what I am now, or were they reflecting something I was and what I was in the past? Hang on, I'm gonna sip of water. So this day, I was actually really raw. I was really tender, beautiful things. I mean, it was so much of a journey just to be around a lot of people going through this kind of travel, getting there super late at night, bumpy roads, all these things, and of course, all of our human stuff. It's like all the unconscious stuff just wants to be pulled up, to be ripped out, and just to be pulled up so all these fractals can be seen and healed and transmuted and given back to light, and you can almost come to a soul remembrance. And so that's why I'm so passionate about transformational experiences. This is why I have a whole company called Ascension Adventures, because it was through all these deep dive transformational experiences that always just massively shifted my system and my way of consciousness and the level of frequency that I was at, because it wasn't just oh, I'm noticing this thought, let me process this. And so this is why I still continue for myself to go where I feel called. And these things line up for me and show up for me to continue to have leaps and bounds of frequency shifts. And so it was like all of us were people were sick left and right in different ways. I started having my head was really congested or feeling blocked in the back, and runny nose and a little bit of coughing, and so just all this stuff was moving through, and I was just feeling really raw and tender. I saw some little girl triggers that just based off other people triggering, and it's like getting to again all this karma, all this stuff coming up to be able to heal and give peace and love to and clear. And so I'm feeling super raw, super tender, and we go into a song, and we're doing some chanting all us, and then go into blessings, and music's playing and everything, and then all of a sudden Shakti Durga leans down to me and she says, "Were you wanting to receive your spiritual name?" And I was like, well, it's continued to come up. And she's like, oh, and then just, I didn't know, I mean, my eyes are closed, the music's playing, people are chanting, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that meant I was going to receive it or anything. And all of a sudden, music stops, and she drops in and touches my third eye and says, "I name you Sundari, divine beauty." And as soon as I hear divine beauty, I start to bawl. Because even in that, this is my soul. What I want you to hear is that your soul always knows. Your soul always knows what's in the greatest alignment for you. Your soul knows that what's in front of you is for you to clear your karma and to apply compassion. And when I think back to when people first started telling me their names, I was like, well, if I do receive my spiritual name, I bet it would be something with like Lakshmi, because, you know, Lakshmi is abundance, and I'm all about abundance in all areas of life. We're so worthy of every area of our life being abundant. So I'm like, oh, it'd probably have something to do with Lakshmi and like human thoughts. Never would I have thought that I would be called divine beauty. And that name also means universal beauty. And what I found out after is, so that's what my soul recognizes, that's my soul's recognition. And every time someone uses the name, and every time I speak the name, it actually strengthens my soul. And the thing is, so that's my soul's essence. And that also means that's what my soul is here to grow into. And thinking about that, the funny or the interesting thing about that is that beauty has been one of the things that's been one of the greatest parts of my journey of accepting in myself. From the time I was little, I believed that I was really ugly. And just those deep imprintings, you know, and it wasn't until, as I obviously went down my beautiful journey and got to actually see myself as a divine beauty, that, I mean, there was a lot of growth to that, to being seen as beautiful, and there was a lot of, then there was fear around that too. I didn't know I was beautiful, and then I attracted rape attempts and kidnappings and sexual abuse and a stalker when I was little and all sorts of things. So there's definitely been it's safe for me to be beautiful, learning to grow into it's safe for me to be beautiful, it's safe for me to be seen, it's safe for me to be expressed, it's safe for me to be heard, and all of those beautiful parts to it. And also just that's why my message is, it's just as much a journey for myself as I continue to share, is unconditional acceptance of self. And if I can continue to see myself as unconditionally perfect, imperfectly perfect, perfectly imperfect, as I can continue to love the duality of all my emotions. There's moments when I absolutely can believe that I'm naturally gorgeous and beautiful, and my soul is beautiful, and my essence of who I am for this world is beautiful. And then the very next moment, I can feel hideous and ugly and like maybe what I have to say, I'm scared to say, or, you know, I'm all of it. I am all things. I have every single trait. So just as much as I've shared this before, and that just as much as I am so, I'm so passionate about authenticity and transparency and vulnerability, and I call myself to be like, hey, you know what, transparency is, there's nothing to hide and there's nothing to prove. So if I can't show up here and be fully me and fully expressed and love myself no matter what, how can I expect anyone else to? How can I expect to receive that from the universe and receive that reflection of receiving more love and joy and abundance and all these things, if I'm unwilling to give it to myself, it starts with me. I get to give it to myself first. So I get to breathe and lean in and choose love, even if it's choosing to give love to myself, and knowing that by me standing in this expression of love, by being seen and expressed and sharing whatever divinely is perfect and gets to come out without any control or, you know, trying to plan it or anything like that. It's like, it's divinely perfect for whoever is to receive it. And that, hopefully that essence and that frequency of divine beauty of all of it comes through for you as well. And so this is what was so interesting about, of course my name is Divine Beauty, because then every single time somebody gets to say that to me, I get the opportunity to receive it. I get the opportunity to, thank you, I received that. And that's why you'll see me online when people give compliments, to say thank you, I received that. Like, can you receive everything in front of you, even the compliment? And so not only do I get to receive that every time someone calls me by my soul remembrance name, every time I give that name, and as I've been here in India and meeting everyone, I'm like, I'm Sundari. It's spelled Sun, D-A-R-I, Sundari, but it's pronounced Sundari. It's been like, I'm Sundari. And here in India a lot, they're like, oh, Divine Beauty, you know, and it's like even more of a, yep. So there's part of that, your soul knows what you're here to grow into. And that's why your soul would never fight what's in front of you, that is here in front of you, for you to give it compassion and love. And so just like that is also part of my journey to grow into fully, to be the fullest expression of unconditional self-love and unconditional acceptance of self, so that I can also, then I see that in every single thing, every person, every being, every experience. That is what brings me to peace. That is what allows me to literally float in a constant state of bliss and joy, because there's no attachments, expectations, there's non-attachment. If it's raining, it's beautiful and it's glorious and I see the cleansing and I'm happy. And if it's sunny, it's beautiful and it's glorious and I'm happy. And if it, you know, whatever shows up, I actually have peace because I have unconditional acceptance of all things, because I have unconditional acceptance of self. Do you see why the whole entire journey is what's inside us? And so the other thing around that was such a beautiful reflection, again, that my soul knows, is that this is my message: the divine beauty of all things, the duality in all things, the perfect imperfections and imperfectly perfectness, and the fuck ups that are feedback, the feedback that are fuck ups, like all of it exists and all of it is beautiful. And we can get, I don't want to say get to, because there's nowhere for you to get. You're already here. But when we actually allow, let's say when we allow ourselves to receive that knowledge in our system, to know this is a part of our experience. It's this, and it's this, and it's this. And if we can go to the depths of this, we can go to the heights of this. And it just continues to evolve, to get greater, because there's more for us to grow. There's more for us to love. There's more for us to accept. There's more for us to receive. And so as I really got to look at how much of this blessing, you know, could I receive? And this has become like a divine game for me, a divine game of clearing our karma, because we know that all things are perfect. So we know that everything that's showing up in front of us is perfectly for us just to, like I said, to give compassion. And so if everything is divine, and a lot of you might not maybe know what I mean by karma, but what I mean by it, like for me, how I made it a funny game is I made it like I used to think, when I really understood this, I used to think, okay, like in a moment when I would get triggered, and first I would just choose to breathe and witness it, and then I would imagine and think about like my oversoul and my guides, like how we pre-plan this moment. And we pre-plan this moment for me to allow me to respond with peace, love, compassion, non-attachment, expectation, honoring, to be able to heal this moment, to heal this thing that comes up, so that I can evolve to the next thing. And I just would stop and imagine this whole game being played, and think about now choosing, how did I want to respond to that? So then I saw us all be like, woo-woo! we so rock. We got this. This is so easy. This is so easy. I know this is a game. This is a game. Now, I didn't always remember that right away. Sometimes I was like, oh, interesting that was my reaction versus conscious response. But when we realize it's all just a game of clearing our karma, because we've all been abuser, we've all been abused, we've all been all things, we've been all traits, we've been, so now it's like synchronizing all of you. This is the thing, your soul knows, your soul remembers who you really are. And now it's divinely devised every single thing for you to synchronize back to that soul remembrance of operating from your divinity, operating from your highest, truest self, operating from love and light and play and joy and bliss and acceptance. And that's why your only job with any relationship is to be an unconditional field of love, support, and acceptance, and for yourself as well. So when you think about synchronizing your soul to all these little things will come up. And so it's been interesting for me. One of the things that Swamiji, there's one other experience I want to share with you guys really quickly, is on the very last day, my last experience, we literally were in, again, vehicles for 12 hours. We stopped for 2 pee breaks. Actually, we stopped for 3 because we stopped one that was like nature. It's like everyone's peeing on the mountain because we all had to pee. But for 12 hours, we're in the bumpy roads, doing all that whole thing. And as I said, it was choosing. There was a journey of spiritual enlightenment just in that, to be around people throwing up, people sick, bringing yourself to peace, knowing what you're there for. So we go this 12-hour journey to then get there at like, I think it was like 9, 10 to 11-ish at night. And then we hike an hour up into the mountains to get to this cave that Swamiji back in the 1930s, he meditated in for 14 years straight. Now, to give you a little bit more context, Swamiji doesn't even eat. He doesn't eat food. So he meditated for 14 years straight in this cave. Now it's a famous Shiva temple. Again, it's a journey to get to. But we hike, and this is the night of the full moon. I mean, talk about, I'm like, thank you, universe, look at how you fully support me. Night of the full moon. And we get to go on this journey up to the Shiva temple that Swamiji meditated in for 14 years. So we get up there, probably it's around 11, maybe even 12 o'clock at night, that we get there and we get in, and we're in this cave, and we do chanting, again, we oming, we go into pure meditation, and then Swamiji brings us out of that with more oming, and then he starts chanting to us. And guys, again, through this whole thing, what I want you to hear is I'm like totally gone. I'm totally like in some other dimensional state. And then I drop back in because my ass is so sore and my back is sore. I'm sitting on like hard, pure, like cave floor, and I gotta pee, and then it's like, oh my gosh, wait, okay, can we be done now? And then it's like, whoa, wait, let me breathe into this. Look, I mean, why would I ever want to end this? I'm receiving all these blessings. Like so this is where like our level of how much we can receive wants to be like human thought, drop in, try to take you out of it, take you out of peace, take you out of the experience, take you out of presence. And I would go, I'm not even my body. Like, and I would just like, and I would literally choose into and lean into, I'd witness it and I'd choose and realign to receiving the blessings that is here. And then like, boom, I'm gone again. I'm in some lucid state and I'm totally like receiving all the codes and the blessings and everything that's happening. And one of the things that I found out later, so after we did all that, and I mean, we did that through the night, and then we literally hiked back down the mountain to then catch rides get into the rides we had at 5 in the morning to be able to then go a 5-hour journey or so out of the mountains a different way to get to the airport where we were then all flying off. Later, or in that journey, I found out that when he was chanting at the end, the interpretation of it is he gave us the blessing of all of our karma being cleared. Now, since that moment, I have had a shit ton of funny, amazing things show up that literally I'm like, you're here for me to clear my karma. Things that would have triggered me so intensely, things that I would have been afraid of. Like, all these things are showing up and I'm just laughing at them and I'm giddy and I'm in peace and happiness and I'm literally choosing neutrality. And if I'm not, and I'm loving duality, it's like, oh, these thoughts, and I'm choosing. And I just see it as this game of all these things want to pop up, because how you choose to respond is what you're going to get next. Are you going to clear that karma and clear that sacred contract that's shown up in front of you to then be able to now be at a frequency of love that you can receive more? Or are you going to continue to repeat the game with the same kind of contract and the same people popping in? And so now I just see it as this beautiful game of we're synchronizing ourselves, just like as you synchronize with a group. As I said, the lowest vibration that exists is going to be the experience. So when you synchronize yourself to the remembrance of who you are, from as I'm synchronizing my gift here and sharing and accepting divine beauty and being that reflection for you, like I'm here as that code of absolute liberation and freedom and remembrance of your divinity, and I'm going to be the expression of unconditional acceptance of self. I get to choose to continually love myself so that I can be that reflection of it's safe for you to unconditionally love yourself, and that I unconditionally love and accept you for exactly who you are in every single moment, in whatever you're experiencing, in all of the duality and all of the polarity that exists in all of it. And by loving this, we're just playing and dancing with this game of karma and releasing and being able to choose more peace, more bliss, more happiness. And I know it's been a while, so I actually think I get to wrap it up, but I want to actually, let me see if I have my my notebook. I know I wanted to share. I want to just share with you some of the, see if I can find it, some of the messages from Swamiji, like so you can kind of maybe get a taste of his essence. And these are just things I wrote down from his teaching. So, and just see how these reflect in my experiences and the stories and the lessons, and you can hear the lessons in these stories. So I'll see how much of this I get to share, because I have literally pages and pages of, which beautifully showed up, obviously us being grounded with the rain to have those kind of experiences. But so he says, always trust in whatever God brings you. It is not yours or mine. It is from God. Whatever he gives you is filled with blessings. If you love it, you find the blessings. If you love your unhappiness, it goes away. I think I actually said that earlier. If you love your fear, it goes away. God wants us to be strong, so he gives us tough times to find the impurity in our mind. I want to say that again. He gives us tough times to find the impurity in our mind. And remember how I said the mind is just the instrument. It's not the instrument. Your soul's the instrument. The mind is giving your soul. It's the feedback, right? So he gives us tough times to find the impurity in our mind and to find all these things that we think define us, so we can see who we really are. We are all human beings. I mean, that's just so beautiful. That reminds me of this experience I'm in, where it's like I got to shed all identity of what I thought I was to find who I really am, to just be with my whole entire soul's essence. This experiencing I'm having, could I have that if I stayed in a place of a construct of identity? So then he says, it is like fishing. We put temptation on the end of the rod of greed, and all these things we desire to catch. We are attached to them, and they tempt us. If these desires are not met, we get agitated. We see how that controls us. Have we not been talking about this? You are here to synchronize your mind, heart, and soul to connect all of you. Wow, that is a great way of putting what I was trying to express, right? Talk about God consciousness. You are here to synchronize your heart, or your mind, heart, and soul to connect all of you. So again, if we're just running programs out of our mind and mental programming, we're not operating from our heart. We're not in our soul's remembrance, and that's just stories, and it's a program. It's not who we are. That's operating out of what we've learned. So I love that he says that. You are here to synchronize your mind, heart, and soul to connect all of you. Synchronize where you are here in the present moment. Nobody and nothing can influence us unless we choose. And isn't that so true? That's what I mean about recognizing that if something triggers you, if you're have any type of force or fight or resistance to anything, then you have an attachment, you have a story, you have an expectation, you're in entitlement, you're not at peace, and they're a divine contract for you. So let's see what else he says. Oh, I love this. Notice how nature is in synchronicity with all things. It gives to everyone and everything. The sun gives to all, rainfall gives to all, like a tree. But seasons change and leaves go away. It's not a setback. They know this is the time for this, that the leaves will return. As humans, we have a story or think it should not happen. Keep the mind clean. We are like a spider stuck in its web, or that doesn't want to leave its web. When we're stuck in our same experience, just evaluate and think of that for a second. I love like really tuning into what he's saying. Notice how nature is in synchronicity with all things, right? Like the sun doesn't just give to one, the sun gives to all, the rainfall gives to all, and how we can be giving love to all. Isn't that a reflection of how we can give love to all things? Love is not, I'll only give love to this. Love is the acceptance of all things. And then I love, again, he says, like a tree, seasons change, leaves go away. So remember, you're going to have stuff and then stuff is going to leave, or you're going to be up and you're going to be down and you're going to be in all of it. He's talking about the duality of life. He's talking about things change. This is the dance that we chose into to experience all things. It's not a setback. In fact, actually, a way that I love to look at it, I believe it's the Sacred Rebel cards that I think it was Sacred Rebels that shared this with me, that it says, when you look at something, and our mind would think of it as a setback. What's actually true is you are just hungry for experience. You're hungry to get in there. You're hungry to like be in all of it and figure it out. It's never a setback. Again, now remember what I said in the beginning, this is all divine timing. It's all perfect. So when you see that it's not a setback, as he says, the tree, when seasons change, leaves go away. It's not a setback. They know this is the time for this. The leaves will return. So when you honor what you're in, you love all those feelings too. You know that this is for your greatest, highest good and growth. You know that this was divinely planned for you. Then you know that then you will receive from that the next greatest thing for you, the next gift, your next evolution, your next everything that is your greatest and grandest adventure. It can only get greater. It is actually impossible for it to get worse, because every single day you're wiser. Every single day there's more understanding, there's more insight, there's more experience. So it is only an evolution of receiving greater. Now, if you keep repeating the same things, it's because there's this block from receiving it and allowing that, the feel it through to be able to heal it, and then to be able to receive the next thing in front of you. Let's see what else he's got. These are just some of my notes. Okay, so I said, as humans, we have a story or think it should not happen. Keep the mind clean. We're like a spider stuck in its web, or that doesn't want to leave its web. So imagine if that's where you stay, then you're stuck. He says, then you're stuck in your same experience. So in this life, we are to always move and look forward, not backward. Surrender everything. Good things, bad things, surrender everything to him. One thought, when one thought is giving you trouble, surrender it to the divine. Remove the thought. Return the mind and heart to the proper place. Again, we're synchronizing our heart, mind, soul to the divinity and the remembrance of who we are. Why would we create suffering for ourselves when we know we're worthy of absolute peace and love and joy, right? So return the mind and heart to the proper place. Whatever we are doing is never hidden. It is all seen, just like a seed. The seed is planted, the seed will flourish, and they will grow stronger. The seeds are our deeds. So synchronize our deeds to who we really are. Synchronize our deeds to God, to our God self. We have been given this beautiful gift of life. What will you do with it? Wow. And that's just like some of my notes. Reminds me of, I think I have one other story. I don't know how good I translated it, because I was kind of like, with the translation there was some communication gaps, but it reminds me of this lion story that he told. I wrote down that I thought was really good. I'll share this, and then I think we'll get to close. Okay, is this it? Let me see. this is where I picked up the story. It's kind of, there might be a little gap here, but he says there's all these sheep, and the sheep are running around going wah wah wah. Sheep are ba ba ba, right? Whatever noise the sheep make. And he says a lion comes, and all the sheep run away, and there's panic everywhere, and the sheep just run, and the lion sees a lamb cub, and he grabs the lamb cub, and he walks it over to the lake, and he puts the cub down, and the cub is looking around, and everyone's in panic, and everyone disappeared and is afraid, and so the cub is, the sheep is afraid, and the lion says to the cub, "Look in the lake. You are like me. You are king of the jungle. See in the water. See your face. See your teeth. We are the same. Why don't you recognize yourself? You are also a king." And the lion, so he starts to roar, and he tells the cub, "Shout like me and recognize your inner strength." And it says, because of our deeds, you can become like the sheep, you can become fearful, you can become in doubt, and we look to a master to give us strength. We look to a master to tell us how to recognize our inner strength. He doesn't allow you to be fearful like the sheep. The God is here within. Recognize that. So, and then the other thing I wrote down here is, a soul is so powerful, it is universal. It can do anything. Your soul is truth. No one can ever destroy your truth. Guys, these aren't my words. This is the words of God consciousness. This is Mahavatar Babaji. These are the teachings he was sharing and I was writing down. So I might have slandered the story a little bit, but I'm like, the power in that message, that it's like, you're just like me, you are a king, why don't you recognize yourself? Stop looking from without yourself and look within. I mean, these same truths, these are God consciousness. This is how you find the God consciousness within. This is how you align to those divinity codes. So a soul is so, I'll repeat this, a soul is so powerful, it is universal. It can do anything. Your soul is truth. No one can ever destroy your truth. Soul is formless while also has form. So it can do anything. It can do wonders. Look inside. Everything is happening automatic. Just like outside. It's all in cosmic order. Bing! I'm going to repeat that. It's all in cosmic order. And this is why when we really know and can and trust everything is divine timing, the universe is in perfect order. There is never anything out of order. I can never make a mistake. It's impossible for me to make a mistake because I contracted this exact moment for myself. In perfect order. The universe perfectly has my back. It's all in cosmic order. It says each has a duty. The light, such duty is to give light to everyone. The fire is to destroy and cleanse. We all have, and each element has a duty to bring to peace. Everything we have inside, we are to bring it to the outside to everyone. And he actually had in here God. Everything we have inside, in quotes, God, like our God self, or our duties, our essence, our gifts, right? That's why he's saying the light has a duty to bring light. The fire has its duty to destroy and cleanse. Just like if my soul's recognition and my essence is divine beauty, how do I get to be a reflection of divine beauty, which is accepting the beauty of all things for you, to receive the divine beauty of yourself and the divine beauty of all things? So everything we have inside, God, we are to bring it outside to everyone. Your soul is like a light. When your soul is enlightened, you become fearless. When you realize that inside your mind, everything and everyone becomes so beautiful. This isn't me, guys. This is God consciousness, my notes from him. When you start exploring, the time and the master will come. He will lead you to this remembrance and light. Wow. There's so much. I mean, so I'm going to do my best to get to record and share a lot of the other truths from some of my notes, because I definitely want to share all that I can. So I'll be dropping into Best Life Tribe and doing that. Again, if you're not in the Best Life Tribe community, see the link. I know that my team will probably post a link of how you can be a part of that community, and just when I share new teachings and trainings of whatever I'm experiencing and coming through, and there's tons of them available in there. to just support everyone that's on the path to their divine remembrance. Also, if you are called to experiences, if you want to be able to do these deep dive experiences, we do have India as a part of our Ascension Adventures experience. I know there's a couple, I think there's one coming up in December, one coming up in March. There's several set for the year, so that you can actually get to go be around an avatar. It's where I'm going for Navaratri, and get to be taken care of and walked through, going through all these experiences to open up your spiritual pathways and activate your Shakti and up-level your consciousness. That's always available. We set up systems now to be able to support people in having these experiences, whether you're a single person wanting to go or you're wanting to go with a group. That's been my passion project. As I shed all identity, it was like, I'm no longer just taking groups of people for a high amount of money. We actually created a system where anyone and everyone has access to go. And the one thing that I was called to do, that I do have on my schedule for next year, because nothing is on my schedule. There's nothing on my schedule until all the way next spring, was my Remembrance to Wholeness retreat that I will be doing, that is a medicine-based retreat experience in San Diego. So it doesn't have to be out of the country, and doing that with my beautiful sister. So those are two, if you guys are really like getting that experiences are so transformational, this is why I thrive off of them. Those are available, and there's also just the tools every single day. You now can see that everything is right in front of you, but it's all here. And when we don't know how to receive it and be with it, and then actually align our operating patterns and behaviors to be in that frequency, then we continue to block it, or we continue to stay in the struggle. And it doesn't have to be struggle. It doesn't have to be hard. It gets to be easy, and it gets to be love, and it gets to be joy. So thank you so much. I mean, I know this was quite a, those were just sharing a couple stories, a couple experiences, but there was so much beautiful truths and blessings in those that I hope that you are able to receive. And I hope that if it's a challenge for you to receive those, then there's, take what resonates. And if there's feedback there for you to look at, where in your life are you out of peace? Where in your life is there fight or struggle, so that you can continue to become more and more at peace. Because really, when you choose to that, hey, if I'm going to be at peace with everything, I mean, that's my ultimate intention. If I'm at peace with everything, I'm blissed out. I'm blissed and blessed, and all the gifts of learning are available in that moment. So I love you guys so much. I will be dropping into the tribe with some other truths, and then I will be completely off grid again as I go deep into my next beautiful experience. I got called to be in Navaratri, and so I'm sure I'll be jumping back in. I love doing this. This came through as like something I wanted to do every once in a while, to just share the blessings and the truths that were coming for me and allowing me to learn and grow, so that you can have them as well and integrate them into your life. So I hope this served, and I love you all so very, very much. You are divine beauty, and I honor you for being on the journey. I'm so excited and happy to be on the journey with you, and I honor the being you are, the essence you are, what you're here to discover and share your gifts, and knowing that it's safe to be loved, it's safe to be expressed, it's safe to be heard, it's safe to be here together. We all can rise in just receiving more of this divine, beautiful experience. So I love you and I honor you. Mwah.